G'day everybody, it's Dave from Wing Chun Force. Haven't made a video for a couple of weeks, my apologies. But today I'm going to make a little tutorial at the request of my friend TTX3 here on YouTube. He follows my channel, Wing Chun Force, and he asked me to make a tutorial about punching with a pivot and what it's about and how to do it. So as I've talked about a lot on this channel, to me the key in Siu Nim Dao in the setting up is to have a floating torso, to feel as if your legs are virtually non-existent, that you're floating, being held up by the floor of your pelvis, which is what I consider the whole Tai Gong thing to be about, is mentally sealing off the base down there, the bottom of your spine, the coccyx bone, perineum, that hip area. Just totally relax it and connect it to the top of your head, and it even comes higher than that. It sort of flows up and out and sort of flows down again in like a circular thing, but don't think too much about it, just let things happen naturally. But the most important thing is this floating torso. So once you get that feeling that you're floating on water, that's the first key. This unified body, that's what we want in Wing Chun. We don't strike with the fist, we don't strike with the arm, with the shoulder and the arm. We strike with all of us, from the bottom of our feet to the top of our head. There's a lot of things driving and flying around today. So that feeling, that floating feeling, often when I'm doing the form, I'll just turn a little bit, just as I'm practicing Siu Nim Dao. I'll just turn a little bit, like I'm floating on fluid, like a super lubricated ball bearing that just floats and everything's connected, just this one thing that moves from the center. So with this, a normal punch is like that. Could be, you know, long, could be very short. But when you practice Chum Kiu, you learn that everything starts in the center of this floating mass. So it's just simply turn there first, then the punch. So that turns in the punch. So it always starts at the first gear. It's just an idea, but it's boom. What that does, thinking about first gear, is it keeps you in there mentally. You just mentally start from there and you stay in there and you stay in your mass, but like that. That's simply all it is, just starting from there. It's a similar thing to the step and punch. You don't have to overthink it. When I first trained, it was like a lot of pressure was put on us not to unweight and do this sort of stuff, but I don't really think much about that. I just want to go, and I move from the center first. So I'm floating and I feel that moving. I feel this whole thing just floating forward, or floating and turning, you know. It just floats and turns and moves. It's like the whole thing's just floating. So whatever you're doing, you're always in that center. You're always soft, but that you don't leave this behind, basically. You know, what people do when they're starting this is they're thinking too much about the punch. They want to do a powerful punch. So it's like bang, they're sort of doing the bang and forgetting this. But if you forget the bang, then you'll get a real bang. It's like boom, and that doesn't look like much doing it in the air, but when it's done well, the other person or whatever you hit feels like it cops the whole body weight. It's so soft and everything's so connected. You're just like you're made out of water. And if water doesn't float your boat, you can imagine that you're molten metal or concrete, or that you're 1,000 feet high like a mountain. You get the idea of how much power and weight would be in a falling mountain. And I've talked about waves, you know, getting hit by waves. Anybody who's been hit by a reasonable sized wave knows it's an inanimate thing. It picks up and lands on you, but it's got shocking power. It doesn't hit you smack, but it just affects the whole lot of you. It sort of grabs you and flings you. So that's it. Always from the center, floating. That floating torso. Legs are just hanging there like little tendrils, spindly tendrils just touching the ground. And always that's the main thing. And then this just expresses the force. It doesn't have to really do much, it just comes out. And in a real situation, it'll go very fast because your subconscious takes over. That's the idea. And that's about it. I think getting the subconscious to take over is a sort of a thing of faith. It's just something that will happen if you train right. I just trust the masters. So I'll leave it at that. See you, my friends, and ask more questions. I'd really like to hear what you would like to learn. I've covered most of the Wing Chun system, but I've still got a lot to do about the knives and the pole, which are quite advanced but extremely interesting. And I'm up to teaching you quite a bit about it. And that's an area that, after so many years of training, I'm still pursuing that effortless power with the pole, with the knives. And I'm actually finally starting to sand my really long pole, my 12-foot pole that I started about 7 years ago, but it's just been hanging in my studio there. Anyway, see you later.